Dear painters and friends, as I promised, I am back to Necromancer, and today we will focus on his eyes. I knew from the beginning that he would have cold blue eyes. That's why I decided on a light blue base for the eyes. I mixed blue with grey. The result was a nice light blue shade with a slight green tinge. Not that this matters, because everything will be covered by oil paint. A quality brush with a good tip, and now hold your breath for a moment. I always start with the cross over the nose. I paint the right eye. It's not comfortable for me. I try my best despite the discomfort. When I am done, I move on to the left eye. This is my strong point, and here I am more confident and can paint the same size and the same position as the other eye. For something as small as an eye, I paint lines with a brush. I never tap the brush. The tip of the brush could bend to one side and apply the paint to a place where I don't want it. I try to have both eyes the same size and in the same place. The color is not too contrasting. It is just right for underpainting because we will see them on the white of the eye, but at the same time we can cover it with oil paint later. And if we make a mistake, the mistake is almost not visible. The acrylic base is ready and I can mix the color for the eyes. I always use the colors that I have on my palette at the moment and that I used for face painting. Everything I need is there. I started with the blue and tried to lighten this color with the skin tone and added a little yellow. It wasn't bad, but in the end I chose the standard way of lightening blue. I mixed grey with black, white and little yellow. This gave me a light warm shade of grey. I then started mixing the color with blue and got nice light shade of blue. The first step in painting the iris is its edge. I never paint a black border, but a very dark shade of the color that I will then use for the iris. These eyes are very small and the iris is covered by the eyelids on top and bottom. So you only need to paint small arcs on each side. Nothing complicated, it just takes a steady hand. I also paint the upper part of the iris with the same shade, the part that is right under the upper eyelid. It is in the shadow that the upper eyelid casts and therefore has to be dark. The eye is really small and I have to work with a very small amount of color. I paint the lower part of the iris with the light blue color. The light penetrates the eye through and the eye works like a jewel. It is dark at the top and light at the bottom. This is why the light blue color is on the lower part of the iris, and again a very small amount of color and just a small arc. When I am happy with the placement of the light and dark tones in the iris, sometimes it takes a while and sometimes I have to start over and do it better, I do a check of the overall appearance of the eye, the placement of the iris, the placement of the colors and the overall feeling when I look at it. I also placed white paint right next to the iris to create more contrast in the eye. And then just corrections, fixing mistakes and playing with the contrast until I am satisfied. I will use black paint to represent the pupils. That's the only black color on the face. A quality brush with a good tip. A small amount of black paint on the tip of the brush. Hold your breath for a moment and make a dot in the middle of the iris. And for a big success, another dot of the same color in the other iris. And again, corrections, and fine details. Sometimes I feel like I'm trying to create a miracle in such a small eye. As a final touch with the brush, there is a white dot that represents the shine of the eye. The same procedure as when painting the black pupil. A quality brush, hold your breath, and small dot in each eye in the same place. The eyes are done, blue, cold, without emotion. I can move on to the next part, which is hair. We will look at that in the next video. Thank you so much for your patience and time to watch the video. I really appreciate it. Thank you and see you soon.